to complete, and you should be able to revise and write an exam on the subject-wise test. Preceding to that, I'll take it around 4 to 5 days or a week for a subject, so that initially before the last week of exam, I'll be able to complete 2 revisions of prelims, and in the last week I'll complete it in a 1-day revision kind of. So I'll plan accordingly the last 1 month of May, where the last week is done with the one subject. The next 2 weeks will be done with 3 to 4 days of completion of revision with sectional tests, again the revision of sectional tests which I have written before. Then previous to that, I'll take it around 4 to 5 days or a week at least in the subjects which I'm weak. I feel economy is little struggling for me, so I'll take around 10 days for economy, and I'm good at geography and polity, so I'll reduce the number of days for those, like around 6 to 5 days is enough. So I'll plan accordingly which subject I'm weak in, so that I'll have a lot of time to revise and again restructure if wanted. So then by like in April and all, weekly one subject, or so I'm also comfortable with a subject on a single day. So I don't go with 2 to 3 subjects a day, or half an hour, 1 hour one subject and again switching to other subject. I can't do such. So I also stitch to only one subject a day. So then I'll plan like a whole week the subject, and on Saturday and Sunday I'll have the test written. Like the whole week what I've read, I'll write the sectional test of one institute and full length test of other institute, so that I'll not have the patterns of the same institute again. Like if you keep on repeatedly writing one test, like it might be of personal opinion. Like if you write one test series of an institute, you might unknowingly get attached to that patterns, like how they're asking the questions or the kind of options they're giving. So I used to switch between the institutes, whichever I feel like writing that day. So I'll write a sectional followed by full length in the month of April. And then previously in March, like I take more time, like from the beginning or in the half of March, I used to start with the subjects which I'm weak in. Like economy, I used to take around 10 to 11 days to complete and to revise. If any concepts I'm not clear, I'll go back to the classes or ask any friends for help. So I used to plan that way. Until March, from March, I used to start my prelims preparation. Previous to that, I used to do with my mains and optional GS and mains accordingly. So coming to prelims in detail, the resource list is more or less the same. Everyone will prepare the same standard books again. But for me, like I'm comfortable with my notes actually. Even though the standard book is there, I used to write the notes of my own. Like even if polity is there, I used to make a short note of a subject. Like if suppose for president, I used to have a 1-page note where all the articles or any judgments related to it, or anything statements which I'm not able to remember, like whom does they give the resignation to, or if there is any confusion between like state legislature and you can compare it with the central thing. Such differentiating points I used to have a pager notes. So for complete entire quality, I've made notes for even for prelims and mains, so that I can finish it like it should be useful to me on the last week of exam. So I used to prepare notes accordingly, so that I can complete it in 1 day. For polity and economy, I made such notes. And geography, actually, I don't stress much on geography, because geography is my optional. So I covered much of the prelims part in optional itself. So I didn't take much stress on geography here. What I stressed more is on polity and economy and science and tech. And history also, I made notes according like ancient, medieval, modern. I made separate notes from the standard books itself. So you can have your own notes, or if you are comfortable with textbooks and you are able to revise, you can go with the textbooks also. So that is with the resource list. And coming to the preparation, when I start a subject, I'll start it from the beginning, so that I'll make it as a parts of a subject. Like for suppose it's polity itself, so first I'll see instead of starting the preparation itself, what I did, the change of which I bought it in third attempt was, initially I took all the PYQs, last 10 year PYQs prelims. Even though I don't know the answer, I'll just go through the question. Just like, what is the question about? From what topic is it asked about? So I just read the questions, not the answers. So I left it. Then I started preparing polity. So when you once see the PYQs, just knowing like from where they have been asking, when you start reading, you will be able to collect. Like when you are going through in a pattern, so suddenly you are reading fundamental rights. You'll remember some question that you have read the day before. Like you have seen that question in that year. So why they have asked that question? Maybe that was important that year, or is it conceptually important? You'll differentiate that while reading and revising itself. So when I was reading polity, I read all the previous questions. Then when I started reading Lakshmikant again, so I noted down that some few of the areas are very important, like fundamental rights, preamble, directive principles. So you should not leave these topics. Like even a small mistake will cost you prelims. So these topics I used to refer first after seeing the PYQs. So only after completion of these chapters, then I'll go to the other chapters like central legislature or some other chapters which are not that fetching in prelims, which might be important in mains but not in prelims. So I used to differentiate that way. For every subject I used to do the same. Like even for economy also, where I was much like struggling in the initial phase. So I went through PYQs. Then I understood that money banking is the most important chapter. So I used to give more time and efforts in money banking chapter rather than like poverty, hunger, and all. Like even if you gave the equal efforts, it is not fetching in prelims. So more time is allotted to money banking, other systems, and like budget. Those chapters should be studied in detail. So I used to do that way for each subject, like which chapters are more important. I used to cover them first, and then later come to all the. I used to cover all the topics, but in a priority basis, like which are more fetching or which are more repetitive in nature. You know the topics once you see the PYQs. So that is one thing I did. And for current affairs, same thing. I used to follow monthly current affairs, and I also did not make any notes out of them. I just used to read everything, and just that the heading itself, you'll know once you get through the whole. When you scheme everything, you'll just know like what is happening, why has it happened, is there anything like that important to remember or not. Then I just used to leave it, and by the end of the year, compilations would be of help again. So even for prelims also, I did with the monthly compilations first initially. But just before prelims, I also sat with the yearly compilations or subject-wise compilations, which you get from every institute. You can have it. So that way, and while preparation, it's, like same thing is after the 1 week 10 days preparation, followed by 1 week, followed by 5 days, and lastly with 1 day. In the first two revisions, I used to write only sectional tests where I'll be comfortable with the whole subject. After doing it, I'll write the sectional test and I'll tally if I'm up to the mark or not. And while reading the like question paper after correcting myself, I'll see which topics I'm lacking in. And in the next second revision, I'll start from that topic, not from the topic which I'm already comfortable in. So that, like, if you, for example, in economy, initially I focused on money banking. So when I wrote the sectional test, I was comfortable and I was scoring good in that. But in chapters like transport, investments, and all, I was not that sure. But few mistakes were done. So next time I started economy revision, I started with these chapters and then followed by money banking, so that everything will be covered by the end you write prelims. So that way I planned the subject wise. And current affairs is done. History, is there anything to add?
That's okay.
So test series is is what I followed, and I used to change the test series. Like from one test to other test, I used to write different institutes, and like in the last 3 weeks, I wrote only the full length test, followed by only few sectional tests which I am not comfortable in. And the last week I did not write any test. And in the last week, for 1 day, one subject when I revised, I used to revise only the wrong answers or the topics which were repeatedly asked, and only sections like which are new or which I'm frequently forgetting. Only those I used to refer. That's all.
Yeah. So one more thing is the last 3 months planning that she told. Even I did the same. I forgot to mention. So planning from the reverse date, that is most important. Like if it's 3 months or 4 months, whatever you are doing, plan from the reverse date for those 4 months. Like last 1 week you will be revising. Last 1 week you will not write any mock tests. You will revise one subject per day in the last 1 week. That is very important. Also plan that is planning from the reverse. That is, you should be able to reduce your time of revision from 10 days, 5 days, 2 days, 1 day to so on. So one more important thing is how to read the current affairs magazine is one important thing. Like one more thing, like you might be scared that you have to read the entire magazine every month, full page to page. No, that is not what you should be doing. What I used to do is, if there is a topic, I used to just see what can be asked in prelims. And I used to only try to remember the part that will be asked in prelims. The other things I used to just understand and leave it there, because it's very difficult to remember that much information. So, for example, if there is, let's say, UNFCCC conference, there will be most significant changes that, like, or very new initiative that came in this year that might be asked, or the last few years that might be asked, but not why it is important, or the answer that we write in mains is not something we should like remember try to remember in our core memory. Instead, you have to focus on facts which might be asked or statements which might be asked. Again, this you will understand by solving PYQs and solving test series only. You should, like I used to do this thing. If there's a two-sider for a current affair information, I used to just with red pen I used to mark P and M. P is for prelims, like probability, like this will be asked for prelims and this will be asked for mains. And even you'll be able you'll be easily identifying what is for prelims and what is for mains. Like advantages and disadvantages won't be asked in prelims, right? So like generally any current affair topic has like basic information, facts, and then there is like mains answer type information, like heavy points. These things you don't remember, or else just know and understand and leave it. You should have the understanding of the topic, but not the, how do we say, like recalling value of that particular point. And for while you're writing test series, for every test that I wrote, if there are suppose 60 correct questions, 60 correct and 40 wrong, or 40 questions that I don't know, I used to just make a one-line pointer about that particular question instead of make like, because solutions are very huge and you can't revise all the solutions. If it is and I used to also analyze the mistakes that I did, like the questions that I attempted and I got wrong. Like, is it because I didn't study that topic or I just guessed it, or else is it because it is not, I couldn't recollect correctly because I didn't revise it properly, or else it is because I read the topic only wrong, or my understanding itself is wrong. This happens with topics like geography, economics, which are understanding based. Well, whereas polity or history, modern history might be factual and you might be missing out on proper revision. So I used to note down the mistakes that I'm doing and try to reduce these mistakes. And the questions that I don't know or are completely new, I used to just note it in one line pointer, like mostly environment based questions, because environment is very huge. It's always current affairs oriented. So if there is a species that is endangered and has been asked, I used to just write in one line that so and so animal is endangered or very, whatever the category is found in this region, and is the state animal of this and this. Like in one line, just one line it used to be. I used to do this initially on the laptop, like the OneNote app. Then as I wrote full length tests, what I used to do is I used to take a OMR printout and I used to bubble it just to practice the bubbling also. And after that, what I used to do is, with more number of tests, your mistakes reduces. So it used to come down to 20 questions wrong or 25 wrong or 15 wrong. So I used to just write it on the plain side of that particular OMR sheet. Question number 1. So like this is the point. Like my short notes, question number 6 is wrong. Again, that is a sure mistake. So I used to note it down in one page, and I used to revise this every weekend. Like all the tests that I wrote in the previous week or previous test, I used to just open that OMRs, turn the page, go to that particular test series like question paper. I used to just open that question paper and see the question, why I did this wrong. Okay, if I remember the solution or not, like the point that I noted. If I don't remember, I'll revise it backside of the page. So this is one thing I used to do. For CSAT, I think CSAT is like, maybe how many of you think that it is very difficult? Many of you think. So the thing is, with CSAT, you have to identify your strong areas. Like you have to do everything to a good level, because it's just qualifying nature and 66 marks. First thing is, you should not have fear of CSAT. I would say in this exam, don't have fear of any particular paper or topic, because once you start fearing it, it will become more difficult for you. Instead, try to yourself find out how to overcome that fear. That is either by practice or by learning the topic. For CSAT, what I did was, I have a background from like writing CAT and preparing for this aptitude based test. So for me, I used to just write mock tests directly, not study any topic, and I used to qualify and get good marks, like 100 plus. If I'm getting, I never bothered about CSAT. But specific preparation for CSAT, if you have to do, I would say just practice those CSAT questions or previous year's reading comprehensions on daily basis, at least 1 month before the exam. Start practicing it, write mocks. Identify those easy questions which will be coming. Like in maths, there might be very easy questions, like some topic which you don't know or studied in when you were in school but forgot. Just revise them. Try to do those questions correct, easy questions correct. And even reading comprehension is easy. There's a particular pattern which you can identify while reading a comprehension. With that, you try to improve your score. Like what I would say for CSAT is, don't miss out on the easiest parts. Identify your own easy parts. Like for me, math was always easy. I never, in my first CSAT that I wrote, I didn't read the reading comprehensions only, because even during my CAT or MBA attempts, I always didn't like reading comprehensions or reading passages. I thought because it is just qualifying with just maths, I'll be able to qualify. But that was the mistake that I did, because that year math was very tough and comprehensions were easy. So that's why I'm saying identify your easy areas and put diversity in the easy areas. That is, do everything: maths, reading comprehension, logical aptitude, whatever it is there. Do all the topics accordingly. You anything to add?
Coming to CSAT, it was like a nightmare to me because I was from science background. So my thing was I was good in English comprehension. So I used to always neglect maths. Then I realized that even sometimes English comprehensions are also very, like, you can't predict the answer. You'll think one is the answer. After 1 year, you'll know that that is not the answer and your thinking was wrong then. So initially I concentrated more on maths, which were easy. Like CSAT is an exam where all of you will be able to solve all the questions if given time. But the thing is, you should identify the questions which you can do it in 15 to 20 seconds or 1 minute at least. Those questions are more fetching. Like every paper will have tough questions and easy questions also. The main thing to pass CSAT is you should identify the questions which you will be able to do in that period of time without any stress, and right answers also. So that thing comes only with practice. Like you repeatedly do all the topics, like top if you go by topic wise. Even in that also, if you see PYQs, number system is the most repetitive topic in CSAT. So once you are like well versed with all the types of questions, like when you just skim the paper in the exam hall, you will be able to identify which questions are from number system. Let's try this first. Once you will see, if you are able to do it, you will do it. Otherwise, you'll go skip to the next question. Like if you go just like without any having such idea, like what questions are being asked or which are easy or not, like when you are going through in a normal pattern, like you will be stuck sometimes at some questions where you feel like you will be able to answer them. You feel like you will answer them, but sometimes you'll not be able to, because again it takes a lot of time there. In CSAT, time is of most importance, where you should find all the easier questions to attempt first so that you'll just pass the 66% marks. So that is fine. That comes only with the practice. And PYQs, you should identify the topics which you are comfortable in, like number system or else average. Every time the question repeats from those topics. So you should be able to identify that and then practice accordingly in CSAT.
Mains.
Yeah, mains.
So for mains again, it is the same thing. So how I divided my preparation, as I told, up until October, I prepared for prelims or reading of the prelims. What do we say? Main resources or standard textbooks for prelims. October, November, December, and January was my mains preparation. So what I did was as every other topper or who cleared the exam will say, see, the syllabus is very important for mains, is what I feel, because this you will understand by your own practice or by your own effort when you put or see the PYQs, read a topic and see the PYQ. So I followed the same thing that everyone told. I just took out the printout of the syllabus of mains, and I used to go paper wise, or else identify those topics for which I felt that notes are easily available. I'll read off. So for me, it was like Indian society in paper one, then governance in paper two, or paper three. Mostly, I found good notes. What I used to do was I used to search, which like I used to normally see on YouTube. Like I used to just type what are the resources or GS1 mains preparation strategy and see what different toppers did for that particular subject. And most of them mentioned their Telegram channel or something. I used to go to their channel, see how they made notes, what they did for that particular topic. And then I used to think of what I will do by my own. So in this process, what I used to do was I used to identify those topics which I felt like notes can be made easily or easily available. So I used to just take that, I used to just number the topics. Like GS1 has around 12 topics or 13 if you number them. GS2 has 24 or 25, GS3 has 24 or 25. So I used to just try to complete one topic at a time. Like suppose if it is governance, then I used to complete of governance, e-governance, transparency, citizen-centric service, citizen charter and all those. So each topic is a topic in itself. So I used to just read those particular topics from various like I just picked one topper's notes for most of the GS topics. I used to read his notes directly and then go to the PYQs and solve those PYQs, or at least see if I am able to understand or not. It's the same thing I did for all the papers in GS, and there were some topics which I never started until after prelims, because I felt lazy to find the right notes or to put my own efforts to make notes. That is the entire polity part of GS2, because I felt like I already read Lakshmikant, what to exactly read or how to read so that I can write an answer in mains. So this was the major problem that I was facing for GS. Similarly, geography part in GS1 and modern history part in GS1. I always felt that I already read spectrum, so what should I read from mains perspective? I never understood this until I got the opportunity to write mains, because I felt that this is high time that I should understand this. So I would say that for each topic, make your own notes by listening to classes wherever you are going, or identify notes which are convenient for you or which suits your style of reading. For me, I can read point notes that are made in points, or notes that are made in question answer format, or notes that are made in the way in which UPSC might ask questions. So I picked up one topper's notes and I completely read those notes for the topics that he wrote notes. This is what I did, and I did the same thing again. I used to complete one topic at a time and complete again, revise it, again complete a topic and revise it, and go and revise the previous things. So in this way, I mostly completed all the GS 1, 2, 3 topics. GS 4 was entirely after prelims that I did, and this is again the same thing. GS 4 is completely, I believe, definitional based, examples based, keywords based, or your own understanding of the topic. So what I did for GS4 was I basically read all the definitions of each term that is given: aptitude, attitude, uh, whatever, or the ethical terms that are given in the entire syllabus. I read all the definitions, and there are many examples that are available for each one of this particular definition. Like examples in the sense, the civil servants examples, or real life examples, or any ethical example that is contextual or suits that context. And then the most learning happens when you start doing PYQs. That is, I did it after prelims. So what I did after prelims was I enrolled into a particular test series which conducted like half of tests. Like GS1 first half part was one test, GS2 like next half was one test. So for me, that 2 weeks, there is do or die situation. That is, I have to read those first 8 topics and write off the test. So what I did was I used to read off all those topics. For the notes that I don't have, I used to find whatever notes that is there on the market or online. I used to just type GS2 art and culture notes, and for art and culture, it is Rishikesh Reddy that I followed. So I used to see whatever most people followed, and I used to read. And if I'm reading a particular topic, I used to go and write the PYQ of that question so that night itself. Like suppose if I read governance or Indian society has one question every year or one or two questions every year. So there are almost from 2013 onwards, if you see, there are almost 20 questions. So if I'm reading Indian society over 2 3 days, every day I used to make sure I write at least 10 questions at a stretch in 70 minutes if it's a 10 marker. If it's a 15 marker, then 110 minutes and 10 questions. Because it for me it has been like almost 6 years that I 6 7 years that I was writing like properly, because my BTech was in civil engineering, which was mostly solution based or not that much of writing involved. And my MBA was like mostly online, like, and my work profile was also typing and all. So I lost the habit of writing. I was more scared of not completing the paper. So I felt that writing every day and getting used to writing was important. And this also helped me because in the process of writing, I used to see the question, try to understand what is the context of the question, and write an answer in 7 minutes continuously for 70 minutes. My first thing is my hand got used to writing back at a good pace, because you need to write very fast in the exam, ultimate exam. And once we are seeing the solutions, I was also doing reverse learning or revision also. I was revising what I wrote. I was also revising the right answer, like what are the points that are missed out. I was also seeing multiple answers, because what I used to do was I used to just copy paste the question in Google and see multiple solutions. Like if you paste a UPSC question, there are multiple solutions given on the Google for that question. I used to see 4 or 5 websites until the points are drained out. Like no one is giving new points. So in this way, I'm getting my own points, the correct points, the new points that I didn't study. So it's a process of learning also. So every night for me post dinner, the 2 3 hours of answer writing, that is 70 minutes of writing, and then again 30 40 minutes of seeing the solution and adding points there, was an exercise of learning itself. So in this way, I completed a topic properly for my final examination. For ethics, the most important thing I felt was entirely PYQs and the case studies of PYQs. and test series that you solve obviously, but PYQs of UPSC is most important for entire mains because this will help you identifying how UPSC is asking a question to a particular topic given in the syllabus itself, and how you should write an answer or address the core demand of the question, and how not to study unnecessary things. Because I feel that from my personal experience, mains is properly defined. Whatever is there in the syllabus, there are high chances at least 70-80% of the questions will come from the syllabus itself for GS 1 2 3 4, and they come directly. Like suppose if there is technology based farming, they will ask, or else micro irrigation is a question I don't know. Like every alternative year, I think I have seen that question. Similarly, PDS, public distribution system, or else questions from the security, like Naxalism or terrorism or Northeast insurgency. It changes like every alternative year, and so it is better to be prepared on those topics UPSC is asking, and we will also understand the dimensions in which it is asking. Suppose if there is terrorism, they are asking either causes or how it is impacting Indian security or the economy or the stability of the country, or how the country is addressing the issue and what more needs to be done, or at the international level, what are the solutions that are there or what we are doing. Same thing is there for any topic. There are 5-6 dimensions in which UPSC will ask question, and this you will understand once you see the PYQs. By seeing the PYQs, just seeing directly won't help. You have to read the topic, try to write them. Then you will understand, okay, this dimension was asked. Although I read this topic, I couldn't write an answer on this dimension because I didn't think in this dimension. But ultimately, if you can prepare 5-6 dimensions for each topic that UPSC is asking, you can write any question that UPSC will ask in this GS 1 to 3 is what I felt. For GS4, it is clearly writing PYQs on the topics that you read that will help you, because PYQs will repeat in GS4, and also the topics are, it's not very dynamic, no, like the topics are, terms are similar. And case studies also will help you because you will understand how UPSC is asking a case study and how you should write a particular case study. And similar thing, you will see multiple solutions for a case study and how do you write it. So I felt that for mains, it is syllabus, making your own notes or identifying the notes that is required for the exam, limited and required for the exam, and writing PYQs and writing the test series and trying to improve on these aspects only, and completing all the parts of the syllabus and not overdoing beyond what is required is what I felt is important. Yeah.
Optional.
Like how many of you have decided your optional? So yeah, I will share my optional experience. My optional is sociology. So I have selected sociology because, as I said, I started with the Indian society part of GS1 and I felt it very comfortable and very easy. Then I went and read sociology syllabus and sociology resources. I did the same thing again. I just typed sociology strategy for UPSC. I saw the toppers in sociology, what they did to clear. And one more thing for me was, as I said, it was only October, November, December, and January. And optional I decided in December. So I thought only 2 months I have. And whenever I saw a video of a topper of sociology, everyone was saying like it can be completed in 3-4 months. So these are the factors that I consider personally. You might be taking different factors. For sociology, what I did was, because the time was limited and also I was working during this preparation phase, I thought I will take one book that everyone is taking, and I took that one book, or most people suggested. I took that one book and I started reading it like chapter wise according to syllabus again, because sociology syllabus is also very clearly defined. Like for different options, also, I think even for geography, it's the same thing. Like the syllabus will be there, you have to cover that particular topic and see the PYQs how they are asking questions and then practice on that. So I did the same thing for sociology, like seeing a particular topic, reading that particular topic, and seeing the PYQs. Initially, I never wrote until after my prelims. Only I started writing answers. I used to just see the question and I used to see, okay, did I read this topic or not? Or else, if I feel like I can write, then I used to be like, okay, I'll write it post prelims or once. And I didn't knew that we should start answer writing or should start off even before prelims. So even if I knew, it was like that inertia will be there for most of us, because we will feel like first let prelims be cleared, then we will write answers. So for me, December and January, I prepared sociology paper 1. Paper 2 ka first 2-3 chapters, and as I said, once February came, I was scared that what if prelims only won't be cleared. So I stopped my optional preparation and I went for prelims preparation. Because I felt like 4 months might not be enough or 3 months might not be enough. So I started off prelims preparation. So for optional, what I did before prelims was that is seeing the syllabus and studying those topics from the standard resource that I took, that is Essentials for Sociology by Nitin Sangwan, and seeing the PYQs. I tried to pick up a topper's notes, but as I said, it was too much for me because I am reading a completely new subject which is to be read properly. And when I took different toppers notes, but I felt it to be too bulky. Like reading the textbook and then reading the notes, I could not finish it off both. I tried for the first 2-3 chapters. After that, I gave up on reading the toppers notes. I only followed Nitin Sangwan textbook. Post prelims, as I said, similarly, I enrolled for test series for sociology, and I used to follow their schedule. Like they used to put first week, first chapter ka first part test, and then second part. And thinkers also they used to divide and put first two thinkers at once, two thinkers at once. Then I used to read according to their schedule and write in between that only. So the only book that I followed was Nitin Sangwan, the test series that I wrote. The PYQs again during my mains preparation, I used to write even sociology PYQs in the night. Like sociology has limited, like there's a lot of repetition in the PYQs, at least the topics wise. So you'll feel like okay, even if you're writing a different question, the concept they are asking is same. So I used to write them or think about how to write these questions, and I used to leave it there. This is my optional preparation. Like this was the surface level optional preparation. Other than this, in the end, I made short notes like for optional, like because there are too many thinkers and there are few topics which I felt is complicated in that textbook. Like it is not organized properly. I used to make a point, like one pager note of that particular topic, or I made a note about all the thinker names chapter wise in a particular in 2-3 pages, just so that I can recall fastly all those thinker names and to which topic they are associated. This is what I did for optional. Yeah.
So my preparation for mains was more or less on the same lines as what Kaushik has said. I'll just give something which worked out for me, differing from that. So firstly, for mains, when I started preparing for mains, the first thing I did was take the PYQs, because mains is all about not what all you know and how much you are knowledgeable or not. It is just very competitive and how better you present than others. Like you should be able to write the quality content in that prescribed amount of time. So when I take the PYQs, I'll see based on the priority. Like when you take GS3 paper, like just note down all the questions, see that which question is coming from which topic. Like is it from economy, is it from agriculture, or is it from internal security? When you find out a few 10 to 15 PYQ papers of one subject each, then you'll know that in GS3, like economy has this much amount of marks, agri has this much amount of marks, internal security is having around 30 to 50 marks. So when you find out that pattern, you will see that internal security and disaster management is more scoring than economy and agriculture, because it is very limited. It has around 10 topics or something when you find out from the syllabus paper. So it is easy to make notes or revise them, because when you see the last 3 to 4 years of questions, like repeatedly either the question will be from cybersecurity or money laundering or from border terrorism, like here or there they'll be just roaming around those 4 to 5 topics itself. So when you weigh down between economy and internal security, it is not like you should like put it down completely, but when you are preparing accordingly, just see which is more scoring in each subject in the same way. Like when you're preparing economy, you need not completely prepare the whole content. You can see the PYQs and then make out the areas which are more fetching and more repetitive in nature. So that way you will find out for every subject. Likewise in GS3, where first you need to complete internal security, disasters, where around 70 to 90 marks will be covered in the total of 125 or something like that. So I did it the same for all the papers coming from GS1, 2, 3, 4. So when for GS1, like same as he said, history, I also I was done with spectrum, so I was not in a position like how to prepare for mains and all. So I kept it initially aside and prepared for the other two, like society and geography. Society, I was initially new, so I made notes on my own, and then I saw the PYQs, like what are allowed in society. So there are few topics like regionalism and all. So when you see the questions, you'll understand the dimensions in which they're asking. So before even starting the subject, I used to go through the PYQs. So when I see the question that is related to regionalism, I see what all he asked initially. Like, is he asking about the types, or what are the problems or consequences? So then I'll note down just all these questions were asked initially. Then when I start preparing, when I start the topic, I'll just go start reading, and then I'll see whether in my notes all the things which I have seen in PYQs are covered or not. So when like going through that topic, then I'll know that if few of the questions which were asked, if they're present or not, should I go for another notes or not. So if anything new is not there in my notes, then I used to Google it and make notes accordingly. So same thing I did for geography also. But geography to an extent was covered more or less in my optional. So mains was little in GS1. I was more or less comfortable in geography. For GS2 also I did the same. Like Lakshmikant is fairly enough, but that will not be sufficient for writing the mains answer. Even in GS2 papers also, when you see the repetitive questions from governance or from international relations, which questions are being more repetitive. Like when you know that pattern by seeing the PYQs, you'll understand how to read the current affairs also. See, when you observe in GS2, international relations or governance, mostly the current related trending topics will be asked. Like if some summits are happening in that year, then the static part of that might be asked in mains that year. So that way you can relate to. All these things will be done only with PYQ analysis. Like if you sit and start reading the content, you'll not analyze like which question is going to be asked this year, or you just read all the organizations. There is no use in that. So when you go through that content, and when you are reading newspaper daily and you are in line with the current affairs, then you'll know that if suppose some SEO summit has happened that year, so the same question has been asked in mains. So that way you can relate both current affairs and also mains content also. So same thing, like even for GS3 also, I used to like initially note down which topics are more repetitive. I used to cover those topics first. I used to make notes, see PYQs. Like if any of the questions are missed, then I'll see that the notes should have all those topics done. And after doing that, then you will have the idea of like what all can be asked further, because till now all these questions have been asked. They might repeat them or they might not repeat them, but the content will be the same. So you will think in a dimension where what all can be asked, then that thought process will start. So like for an example, terrorism itself, has how Kaushik explained, generally with all the institutes will have more or less a similar content. So when you go through that content and have all the PYQs done, then this time they ask the types of terror funding. Nobody might have got it in the institution that like exact thing or content. So when you do the whole topic and see PYQs, then you'll know that this types of funding is missing in that. So initially, even though you don't know the content, you'll just try to analyze and get the answer done even in the time of exam. So it will be easy for you to generate answers for which you don't know also. So that helps. And even for GS4 also the same, like the important topics. Like if you see the PYQs, questions mostly in theory section, like definitely a question will be from emotional intelligence or foundational values, or the compulsory questions like where definitions are asked. These very limited. Like you will get around 40 to 50 definitions in ethics which you need to complete, and have the definitions and examples ready even before you start your mains preparation. So it is better to start from these topics and then cover all the topics further. Finally, you will cover the whole content. But to cover them on a priority basis is a major thing that you need to do for mains. So in GS4 also exactly like the major topics are covered first, and then the theory content and case studies. If you are once perfect with the theory examples or your personal life examples, then you will be able to be in a position to write case studies in a better way rather than just going to the theory. When you understand the correlation between both of them, then you will elaborate or explain the case studies in a better way. And coming to my optional was geography. So choosing your option is also of great importance, because I am a medical student. I did my MBBS. So initially I thought of taking medical science or anthro as my subject, but I didn't find them interesting, or it is just my personal experience. So when I was doing GS1, I found geography to be more interesting, and then I saw the PYQs and the geography syllabus. So I thought that, oh, okay, the content might be vast, but the questions are being quite repetitive. That if you once understand that pattern, it is easy to cover the syllabus. So I took geography, and even then also the most important topics. Even in optional also, I do it mostly on the priority basis, like part A, part B, which is more important and which is more fetching. So part B is quite not that scoring in geography. So I used to concentrate more on part A and Indian geography. There also, like, I make a notes of, like, first thing I take the syllabus paper, then I mark out the contents, like whether which chapter is most important in that also. Like there are around 10 chapters in part Indian geography of paper 2. There I'll make out that physiography industries are most important because every year there will be questions from those two topics. So what I'll do is first I'll finish those chapters, because when the question comes from those chapters I'll be able to write it in a better way than attempting the questions which I'm not comfortable in and which are not also scoring also. Because in few chapters like soil and environment, they might be like content might be quite small, but they are not that scoring. You'll understand all this only after analyzing the PYQs. So first make out the priority basis chapters and then complete them. See the PYQs if all my content is perfect for the PYQs or not. When you go through the PYQs, you'll understand what all are left. Like when you go through a topic, you'll see just types or the classifications if anything present. But sometimes they'll ask the correlation in the present times that you might not have in your content. Then after seeing the PYQs, you'll know that this type of question is asked. So you'll prepare for that question. This thing you'll do for the next topics also, like the similar type, like how is it relevant in present day India, or how do you relate to the society. Then these dimensions should be added to the further topics also, so that you will have a precise content, and even if you don't know the question you will be able to repeat or generate on your own in the exam time. And one more thing to add is, in my mains, what I felt was for the prelims notes is much more important in mains also. Many of them might think that prelims is separate, mains is separate. But when you're preparing for prelims and you're writing your answer, like the thing how he told, like he used to write his wrong answers in a single line. I used to do the same, but in my own notes itself. In my notes, like after, for suppose if I did my history, after the week I used to write a sectional test. Then I used to note down which are my wrong answers. Then I used to mark it or write it in a sentence in other color of pen. Like if I use blue pen initially, I used red or green. So the number of tests I use, the number of colors also change. So when I just revise them, I used to remember at least by photographically that something either like here I have written it. So it is something related to this topic. So I used to remember even that way also. In mains, all these things will add up because all the small facts which you remember much more like just by highlighting them in your prelims notes. In mains, all these will be important because like in a few of the questions in GS3 you see last time they've asked the wetlands. No one will read in detail wetlands for the mains exam. So when you prepare for prelims properly and have those all these in your mind, then you'll immediately write up. Like you'll be able to remember all the things which you have written in your prelims also. So prelims notes is also equally important for mains for all the value addition or also for scoring better than others. So this is for mains.
Journalist.
Sorry?
Essay.
Essay.
Yeah.
Essay. Start.
Uh, yeah, one thing I would want to add is identifying how many marks are coming from each topic. Even that I did that. So on the syllabus paper that I took, I used to just write a bracket or put an arrow and say that, and like as she said, internal security has 50 marks, agriculture, that is also very important. I would suggest everyone should do that, and you should do that with your own exercise. Like you can easily find that on, like you can type weightage for GS3 paper, and there might be some institute which have done it. But that will not help you is what I feel, because you should do it with your own exercise by looking at your own eyes, identifying, okay, this question is from this topic, like terrorism is from internal security, extremism is from internal security, money laundering is from internal security. Only then you will, it will help you is what I feel. So for essay, again, my essay preparation was mostly post prelims. It is, I wrote essays from the test series that I took. And how I prepared for essay was, I just saw essays of various toppers, like who scored good marks in essay. It's the same thing again. I used to just type on YouTube essay strategy for UPSC mains, and I used to see the videos that are having most views or having most score, like topper who scored the most. What I understood was, I personally always felt, maybe because of the fear in the school, that my essay writing skills are not that good. So I would always avoid writing essays or even the reading comprehension. That is the reason I don't read or write too much. So for essay, I used to just pick a topper's essay, see the topic, and see how initially I started by seeing how he or she is writing the essay. That is okay, how they are introducing the topic, how they are giving an example or a story, or how they are explaining their ideas in different paragraphs, how they are concluding the essay. I read like 20-30 essays of various toppers, various people like this. Like you will discover it yourself. Like in this process, what I discovered was one was Vikram Grewal, whose essays are very famous. Then I read his essays. And once I wrote at a later point, after reading some 10-20 essays, what I did was I used to see a topper's copy, see the essay topic that he wrote on, and I used to brainstorm like in 15 minutes that okay, I will introduce like in 15 minutes I used to write on a paper in a rough manner. I will introduce it like this. I will introduce these ideas. I will introduce these examples. I will conclude it like this, and see his essay like if anything is matching, like or at least it will not match. Essays will never match with the other person, but at least is the flow going correctly? Is my thought process right? So there is nothing right or wrong for essay. It is just that you have to stick to the topic and write the idea clearly in a simple language, explaining it through examples of stories or through your own words. Stories or examples make explanation easy because even if they don't understand your English or your idea, at least the example will make them understand your idea. So then I wrote the test series. In those test series, again, I used to write a particular, like, right, four essays are given. We have to select one, and write two essays. So I used to, in those 3 hours, I used to write those two essays, and after it got corrected, like, got evaluated, I would see where any suggestions given by the evaluator. I used to see that, and I used to also do this thing. The other three topics that I didn't select, I used to sit and brainstorm, like for the other three topics. That is 6 topics. After the essay is over, the other night, whenever I'm bored, like not feeling like studying, I used to brainstorm for 15 minutes on the topics that I didn't write, and I used to then read the solution or the what do we say, sample essay given by in the solution copy of that particular essay. Then again, I would pick up examples from there. So like there are essays about, so I had like limited, like probably 10 or less than 10 examples where I used everywhere in the essay. Whatever essay I wrote, I used that examples only. Or that I never mentioned books or anything, but people mention books. So it's your own style of writing that you should follow essay for. Like if you're good at reading books, you can mention the books that you have written or the author's idea of that particular book, or you can quote any famous movie or like anything. It is like there's no limits for essay as such. But I used to generally pick few examples from various toppers that I feel that I can easily remember, like basic examples like Einstein, Edison, and all these, Mother Teresa for humility or like helping nature or whatever it is. Few values and few examples for that particular person or for that particular thought or idea, and I used to use them wherever relevant, suiting to the topic. And one more thing is identifying your own style. So in this process of reading various topper copies, I felt one person, I don't remember the name now, one particular ranker's essay, which I felt like, okay, I can write like him. No, no, no. So it's some ranker, like I don't even remember the name. So I felt that, okay, I can write an essay like this guy. This guy's style is similar to mine. So then I started, okay, reading his essays more. So how is he writing for this topic? And how will I write for this topic? So this is the exercise that I did. It might be different for different persons. Like for her, it might have been different. But what I felt was identifying your style of writing and sticking to it and trying to express your ideas clearly, sticking to the topic given. And there is no special preparation required for essay because you're reading so much content, and topics are abstract. I didn't see this year. This year maybe they gave 2 general topics instead of abstract. Generally, it is 3 abstract topics and 1 general topic. That too tending towards abstract nature or explaining of an idea. So knowledge-wise, we will not be lacking in writing essay because we are reading so much content. So it is just how to write and use the existing knowledge to write the essay. Nothing special to read for essay. It is only what I did was, as I said, picking up various toppers essays and picking up examples from that. There are notes made by toppers also for essays. They like write examples, books names, or quotations for a particular topic. Even that will, if you feel that will help you, you can use that also. So this is my essay preparation. Like you can tell yours.
Yeah, further to add up, like essay is not, there is no proper preparation or complete separate preparation which you need to go through. It is all about the ideas you get through. When you see that quote, like what do you feel about that quote? Like initially you can follow pestle approach. Like when you see a quote or the essay that is asked, just think it in terms of political, economical, social, technological, like what all can be related to. Like in the initial phase it might work. It is not like you'll write all the essays in the same manner. But to start the idea of thinking for an essay how to write it, then you can follow the approach of pestle. Like even all the preparation you go through the mains also, it is helpful for essay, because once you see the code you will just think like where is it, where have you read it in mains, like is it related to some of the topics of your mains or is it completely new. And it is not completely out of your preparation, but the ideas you get, like even all the movies you watch, different people you speak to, or the people you meet, what you feel or the idea you get by seeing that is all needed. For suppose like few of the essays where faith or hope something is there, you can write your favorite leader, your favorite sports person. Like I used to repeatedly mention MS Dhoni or Virat Kohli whenever there is like qualities of patience or leadership. So whom do you adore? Even all those small ideas also will be helpful in your essay. Like when you go through different essays or different toppers copies, you'll get that ideas like how are they relating that topic to that content. So when you see some toppers copies, you'll see that how they have portrayed the flow and also what all qualities they have included in that. See, or the vocabulary they are using, or the structure or content which they have used from the mains, or their own ideas. Then you'll understand like how to think of an essay first thing. So when you start preparing for essay, just think in terms of pestle initially, and then by following that pattern, like normally you will be able to write in your own way also. Then you will understand your style, like whether you're comfortable in pestle or in a philosophical way or in an abstract way. That you will know only with the practice. So there is no complete different preparation, but following it with the mains ideas itself, it will help. Maybe.
Yeah, I used to do this thing like I quoted Indian national struggle in many essays because that can be quoted for many things. Similarly, the revolutions that we study, American Revolution or anything in world history. So yeah, whatever you are using, you can think in pestle approach also, even for philosophical essays, just to put forward the values. And interview.
Soon we'll
Like any
start
other
with the
doubts with
interviews,
respect to prelims or mains, or
if you have
You
any.
can ask those.
or else or think of your doubts. We will cover our interview prepare also in 10 minutes also, because I feel at this point, I at least I never thought of my interview preparation when I started preparing. I always thought phase at a time. Like once I was clearing prelims, then I was thinking about mains. Like scoring 80 or 90 marks or 70 marks in prelims test series, I felt like okay, now I can start preparing mains. Once I cleared mains, then we can think about interview. But I'll briefly give about my interview preparation. So interview preparation is like mostly preparing about yourself, because there is detailed application form 1 and 2 where you write about yourself and questions will be asked on that. That is the only place where you can prepare, like a syllabus to prepare. The other thing is very basic for interview, that is you have to be honest, you have to read the current affairs and be aware. If you read what is required for interview, syllabus of interview, if you say, they mention that social awareness or social cohesion or general awareness about the current happenings around you, and team working or some values, I don't exact, there are 8 to 9 things that they clearly mention there. So start being in that way, like be aware of what is around you, like know about your city or your state or the basic policies or important policies that are of your state that are getting national attention. This is what they'll ask us in interview, mostly about your profile, what you have done, why you have done, and mostly about your state or your place, your native place, if it is known for something, or why do you want to come to civil services, questions like this, and any current very famous trending happenings, or what is your opinion on that. So this is how you prepare for interview. And one more thing we can do for interview is like we do for interview is like giving mock interviews. So I gave mock interviews here in CSB and other institutes also, but see, you will find people to help. So for me, I got help from here. From like I used to give one-on-one interviews with ma'am and also panel interviews here in CSB. So these mock interviews will help you identifying where you are weak, where you are strong, how you are answering. Because they will also give you suggestions of after the mock interview. They will tell you, okay, you are answering in this particular manner. You have to improve over these areas, and you will also get new questions once they see your profile. So you'll also know, okay, I didn't think of this only. Like about your own profile, they might see something unique in your profile and ask a question, and then you can maybe you will try to answer at that point of time, and you will prepare about it later. But giving these mock interviews will help you answering a question which you have not thought about. It will be mostly about yourself only, or answering a question about current affairs or an opinion based question on how you have to give opinions about issues instead of telling newspaper issue, whatever is written in the newspaper or whatever you've heard. How you have to present your own opinion to the question they have asked. That is how you will learn, by giving mock interviews and by preparing your own DAF and all. Yeah.
Yeah, more or less the interview preparation is the same. This is the part where you'll, though you are completely stressed, you'll enjoy the preparation because you'll get to know different perspectives of people which you might not be completely aware of previously, because you will be of some opinion. When you talk to people of the similar, like they are also in the same stage, then you'll get to know different opinions on the same topic, and sometimes it will even change your opinions also by talking to different people or different bureaucrats in that way, and giving panel mocks and one-to-one. Here, the main thing here that adds up is the peer group you coordinate with during the interview time. Like we also met only during the interview preparation here, and that time we used to talk about the different topics and what do they think, how do they will ask questions. Like other than them from DAF and current, other than from DAF, when you discuss the current issues, you might be of opinion that they might not ask this, or it might be a debatable one. Then when you speak to the other person, then you'll know the different perspective attached to it, or should you change your opinion, or how to balance out the others' opinions also. Some might get triggered if someone spoke opposite to your opinion, you might be triggered sometimes. So talking to your peer group then and just evaluating your opinions frequently, then you'll know like how to balance your answer also. Like even if someone criticizes you or is completely of opposite opinion, how to balance it out and to accept their opinions first thing. So this is what we do in interview preparation time, and that helps you to develop a different perspective on all the issues and to know yourself and to completely better yourself also. So after the during and after preparation time, there'll definitely be a slight change in the person you talk to, and also the person you are before interview and after interview. So this is a time you can think of only after mains. So till then, completely focus on your mains and prelims preparation, so that in interview time, finally, anyway, you'll get to know people. That during interview, like till mains and prelims, it is all about yourself, like how you study, what are you focused on. But during interview time, you need to mingle with people, like how is it going with other people, what are their opinions. So that time differs completely from the first two stages. So during interview time, it is all about knowing yourself better and how to balance out yourself and how to maintain that calm and composure, even in terms like when you are not completely prepared or not, you're not knowing the contents which they are asking. So that way, it is only about like being a new person than before, or trying to be your honest and give your like the own picture of yourself rather than bluffing or faking yourself just for the interview sake. So more or less, it is the same.
Questions.
So any questions if anyone want to ask?
Ma'am,
Yeah.
what are the mistakes we should not do in the preparation, ma'am? Like ma'am, you cleared in third attempt.
Yeah.
So what mistakes you found in first two attempts?
Yeah, the first mistake was like initially I did not do PYQs, like I did not see the PYQs. So I used to start reading. Just I used to go through the content continuously, and I don't know what to remember, what to leave the content. So initially I was just skimming, just monotonously I was going through all the current affairs magazines or the test books or everything. So it is of no use like, when you don't know what is important, what is going to be asked in exam. So it is a waste of time first thing, and your efforts, even though you put your 100% of efforts, there is no result then. So first identify what needs to be done, like PYQs, because this exam is not about how knowledgeable you are. like how you are able to present and what all content which is necessary are you able to find it out or not in yourself. So that matters. So that was one of my mistake. And the thing one was like I did not practice much before answer writing. So in the third attempt, like I practiced PYQs from the optional much more than GS. So I was comfortable in my speed and also writing style. So that was one of my other mistake. And the other thing was like majorly finding out your priority areas. Like it is not necessary that you'll read the whole content or the whole subject. It is not that if you read, they'll give you 100 marks. You should read the most important contents and prioritize accordingly. That is the most important thing.
Yeah, one more thing is don't add too many resources.
Yeah.
I feel that one book is enough for a subject or a topic. You make your own notes, stick to that, and keep adding points to that. But just because your friend took up a new book, or just because from the book you read, you're not able to solve questions, don't shift the book or don't shift the source. And another thing is don't overdo things like chasing behind vague topics. Like suppose mapping has 2-3 questions, but you can't sit and keep studying the entire world map and trivial areas. Just do whatever you can do and leave those 2-3 questions. Instead, focus that time on more fetching areas like revise polity and reduce your mistakes in polity. One more thing is PYQs. Mostly people don't write. I would suggest write all the 2013 to 23 onwards, like 24 onwards PYQs with a timer. That will help you a lot. Most people don't write PYQs or do PYQs analysis. When they say they did PYQs analysis, they say that they have seen what question came from which area. But according to me, PYQ analysis is sitting and writing that question and identifying what points you wrote and what should have been written.
Yeah, but initially once you start PYQ, just even today also, like just once you go through a PYQ, write what all content you know, just leave it down there. After 1 week or 2 weeks, just write again the same question. Then some new ideas or new points will be added to that. Then you'll know how to correlate or how to add up new points or how to generate the content. You will know only with practice. That doesn't come only with one test or two tests. If you write the same questions repeatedly, you will know how better you can present than before. So that is more important while you write PYQs.
Yeah.
Ma'am, the teaching question is you are from different background.
Yeah.
And I am also from different background, BTech, IT. And the interviewer asked about the concept of IT and the related subjects to the IT. But sir, here is the question is how to tackle that. They are from different background and they are asking and the main concept they see in the mains, the knowledge and everything. But they ask from IT.
No, you are saying your BTech is from information technology.
Information technology.
And they'll ask you a question on information technology in interview. See, there's nothing. So that's what I'm saying. There's nothing called tackling it. What they expect you is you have studied that, you have a degree in that. So they expect you to know that particular concept. And they won't ask you something that you have not studied or something that is very difficult. Something that you have not studied or something that is very difficult. The same issue was there for me. I did my civil engineering as well as my management. But I was having the same doubt, why should I remember something that I read in the first year or something else? But what you can do is, you'll have ample amount of time actually after you clear mains. Once the mains result is out, you'll have 1.5 2 months, at least 1 month time if you're not in phase 1 of the interview. In those days that you have, half of the day you generally put for your current affair preparation. The other half is preparing about yourself. When you say preparing about yourself, it is about your HR questions. That is, why civil services? Why did I do this? Why did I do that? And questions like your profile-based questions, like if you have multiple degrees, the basic concepts of that particular degree. From IT questions, you will have to revise your information technology basic subjects or basic questions. And there's also a set of questions that are compiled like by previous, what do we call them? Transcripts, interview transcripts. There are a set of questions that IT people have been asked. So you will get an exposure to all of this. This is something you should not be fearing now. This is something you should think about after you clear the mains. And see, I would say everyone is from different background and everyone takes at least 2-3 years or sometimes 4-5 years time. Still they are clearing it right. So that means that these are the issues you should not think about now. And something that can be put for later and done later. Yeah.
The syllabus is more.
Which syllabus?
The total syllabus is more.
Of IT.
Not. Syllabus is more.
Civil services exam.
The particular time, in the 1 year of time, how to tag in the.
See, that's what I told. No, you take, so for you have a GS 1, 2, 3 paper, then you put a day for topic 1. So it's not more actually. It's properly defined for mains is what I feel. So there are 12 topics in GS1, 19 or 20 topics, 22 topics. I feel that for the first reading you need 2 days or 3 days for each topic, and or 4 days at max. So divide it in by the number of days that you have, and identify the proper source. Keep revising. It's complete, like it can be finished in 1 year is what if it's never more. See, there are people who are doing it in 1 year with job, so there is no need for anyone to complain is what I feel. How can you do it is something that you should identify it based on your preparation. Like if you're attending a classes, post classes, you can suppose if you're taught internal security in the class here, you can do that post class, going to your room, reading the internal security topic notes that you have and seeing the PYQs. In that way you'll finish it, right? And revising it on the weekend probably, or after 2 weeks, but finishing it in this way. It can be completed. It's like not undoable, at least for the mains part. Prelims, there is no defined syllabus, but we restrict ourselves to standard books and current affairs.
So, while preparing the CSAT, I have a doubt like regarding the comprehension reading passages. We should stick only that given
Yeah.
data, or we can also
Only,
analyze.
only whatever is given in the paragraph, like comprehension. So they might, like, yeah, it's, you should stick to whatever is given in the comprehension, not your general knowledge, because there might be passages about economics, or let's say some passage, some stupid passage that says something, some country has failed because of so and so reason. You should not use your general knowledge. Instead, what is given in the passage, you should read.
And actual data.
Whatever is given in the passage, based on that only you should answer.
Yeah, more to that is like you should see the question. What are they asking? Like, what do you inflict from this? What are the consequences? It is based on the question. Then you should understand, like, it should be based majorly on the question or on your overall understanding. It is all based on that 1 to 2 words that you use in the question. That is of most importance. That you need to differentiate. Like, what are they asked? What is the main keyword in the question? That you will know with the practice, or if you see the PYQs, you will understand.
You have time for 2 more questions.
So, sir, apparently, how do we understand or when do we understand that we are ready to give the exam?
So as I said, I understood when I was scoring 70-80 marks in prelims. I felt, see, you can never be ready for mains or prelims 100%. You have to see what is the cutoff going around, and if you can score or not. So I felt that when I was scoring 70 to 80 in October, what I felt was, if I read current affairs of this year, and if I reduce my mistakes and revise more, I can get 10 more questions right, which is 20 marks. That will score me 100. So it varies from person to person. But I feel that the right way to measure your preparation is by writing test series for prelims. For mains, you should be ready because you got an opportunity. There's no other chance that you can't say that I'm not ready for mains now. Because you have got an opportunity to write mains, you should be ready at any cost. You have to do whatever you can, whatever should be done in those 3 months to be ready for that exam. That is test series, revisions, whatever it is.
Thank you, sir.
Any question from anyone? And as you mentioned, I just wanted to ask you a question because most of our students, they had a habit of skipping the tests. Can you tell the importance of this?
So I, as I said, my major preparation or the confidence building part was because of the test. Like once I started scoring, when you see improvements in scores, you will understand that you are going in the right direction, be it with respect to prelims or even mains. So for prelims, I was seeing the gradual improvement. I used to have an Excel sheet where I used to write the attempts, corrects, wrongs, and there used to be a graph that used to keep going in that sheet, like normal Excel sheet. So I used to see the graph going up. There might be a dip, but it's going up again. So this will also help me keep going because I'll identify the mistakes, correct. This will increase my confidence that okay, I'll clear this exam, at least the prelim stage. Similarly for mains again, the test series helped me, like if I'm scoring 100 marks out of 250 in the like in the test series of a particular paper, GS paper, then it gave me a confidence that 400, like 4 papers, like averaging out, or else there is see, like someone is evaluating and giving you 100 marks means that you are writing in a good way. Like if I was getting 80 marks, then I needed a push to go to 100. If I was getting 100, when it improved to 112 marks or 115 marks in a particular paper, it made me realize that okay, again going in the right direction. So if I'm writing these tests consistently, and tests are also important, as I said, for time management. At least here, maybe they might be putting 5 questions or like less questions for you initially, but that is important for your hand to start functioning, hand and brain to start functioning at the same time, or address the issues of the question, like key issue of the question. Yeah, that is how tests are important according to me.
Thank you very much. See, your journey is really inspiring, and we are expecting this association in future also, and you are really inspiring. So give them a big round of applause. Thank you very much for coming here. Thank you very much for inspiring us students. And in the next sessions, we just wanted to see you in that positions. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Give them a big round of applause. That is genuine, learning, hard work, dedication, sincerity, patience, practice, everything is important. Those qualities made them to stand in these particular positions. Right? So give them a big round of applause. Everyone.